Hello, we are grojp and we're going to discuss about what is terror of terrorists. The terror of terrorism refers to the intense fear and disruption caused by acts of violence intended to intimidate societies and push political or ideological agendas. Terrorism is not just about the physical harm it causes. It's a strategy designed to instill widespread fear, disrupt daily life, and make individuals and communities feel unsafe. In this presentation, we will explore the impact of terrorism on society, its psychological and economic toll, and how it has reshaped global security policies. By understanding the origins, methods, and consequences of terrorism, we can better grasp the complex challenge it poses and the efforts needed to combat it for a safer, more peaceful world.
November 26, 2008. An organization determined to surpass Al-Qaeda as the world's most feared terrorist group sent 10 gunmen to Mumbai, India's biggest city. Their mission was to kill and keep on killing, to stage a spectacle so terrifying that the world could no longer ignore Lashkar-e-Taiba, the army of the righteous. Indian intelligence intercepted the terrorists' cell phone conversations with their commanders in Pakistan.
So now, let's proceed to the motivations and ideologies driving terrorist groups and individuals. Terrorist groups and individuals are motivated by a variety of factors including ideological beliefs, political grievances, and perceived discrimination. Ideological beliefs. Terrorist groups are often motivated by strong ideological beliefs such as ethno-nationalism. These are the groups that seek to control territory based on ethnic and nationalist identity. Left-wing extremism. Groups driven by anti-capitalist, Marxist ideas. Right-wing extremism, groups driven by neo-Nazi or neo-fascist ideals. Religious extremism, groups motivated by an extreme interpretation of faith. Political grievances against the United States and its allies can motivate terrorism. Perceived discrimination, perceived profiling or over-policing by law enforcement or stereotyping and stigmatization by the media can motivate terrorism. And lastly, challenges of inequality. Violent extremism can thrive on and draw recruits through challenges of inequality, exclusion, unemployment, intolerance, and alienation. So now, let's proceed to the recruitment and radicalization processes that lead to terrorist involvement. The process of radicalization and recruitment that leads individuals to engage in terrorist activities is a multifaceted phenomenon influenced by a variety of factors. Understanding these processes is crucial for developing effective counterterrorism. So when we say recruitment, terrorist organizations employ various tactics to recruit individuals. It may be in personal connections. Recruiters often target individuals within their social networks, exploiting existing relationships to build trust and influence. Ideological appeal. Extremist ideologies often presented as solutions to societal problems or injustices can attract vulnerable individuals seeking meaning and purpose. Online radicalization. The internet has become a powerful tool for recruitment, allowing extremist groups to disseminate propaganda, connect with potential recruits, and facilitate radicalization through online forums and social media platforms. Exploiting grievances. Terrorist organizations often capitalize on individuals' feelings of marginalization, discrimination, or economic hardships to recruit them. So now, let's proceed to radicalization process. Radicalization is a gradual process that involves a shift in an individual's belief and attitudes towards extremist ideologies. Alienation and disillusionment. Individuals may feel alienated from mainstream society due to social, economic, or political factors. Exposure to extremist ideology. Exposure to extremist narratives, often through online platforms or personal interactions, can shape individuals' worldview. Cognitive dissonance and justification. Individuals may experience cognitive dissonance as they reconcile with their new beliefs with their previous values. This can lead to a process of justification where extremist ideologies are used to rationalize violence. Socialization and group dynamics. Joining extremist groups provides individuals with a sense of belonging and identity, reinforcing their radicalized beliefs. So now, let's proceed to the planning and execution of terrorist attacks, including target selection, tactics, and weapons used. Terrorist attacks are carefully planned, targeting symbols of power or civilian populations to inflict maximum fear and damage. Tactics range from bombings and shootings to hijackings and cyber attacks. Weapons can include explosives, firearms, vehicles, and chemical or biological agents chosen for their destructive potential and availability.
The study of terrorist precursor behaviors encompasses various factors, including psychological traits, social networks, and environmental influences. Psychologically, individuals may exhibit radical beliefs or grievances that drive them toward extremism. Socially, group dynamics and peer influences can play a significant role in radicalization. Environmental factors such as exposure to violence or political instability often serve as catalysts. By delving into these aspects, counter-terrorism efforts can better identify at-risk individuals and implement targeted interventions, ultimately reducing the likelihood of violent acts. Common precursor activities include recruitment, where individuals are sought out or influenced to join extremist groups. Training, which can involve tactical skills or ideological indoctrination. Surveillance, where potential targets are monitored for vulnerabilities. And the acquisition of weapons or materials necessary for carrying out attacks. These activities often indicate a progression toward planning and executing acts of terrorism, making them critical focal points for counterterrorism efforts. Early detection and intervention are vital for preventing terrorist attacks. Recognizing precursor behaviors like recruitment and training allows authorities to disrupt radicalization before individuals commit to violence. Timely interventions, supported by community engagement, can prevent the formation of organized cells and deter potential extremists. By prioritizing these efforts, we can safeguard public safety and foster a more resilient society against terrorism.
Let's talk about impact and consequences of terrorism. The impact and consequences of terrorism are profound, affecting individuals, communities, and entire nations on multiple levels. Psychologically, victims and communities often suffer long-term trauma, fear, and anxiety, which can lead to social fragmentation as trust within communities erodes. Socially, terrorist attacks disrupt the fabric of societies by sowing division, fostering suspicion, and intensifying cultural or religious tensions. Economically, terrorism can devastate local economies through the destruction of infrastructure, the loss of business activity, and a decline in tourism and investment, which can cripple regions dependent on these industries. On a broader scale, terrorism can significantly impact political systems, sometimes causing destabilization as governments struggle to maintain control and provide security. This environment of uncertainty can lead to internal conflicts, exacerbate political divisions, and provoke shifts in power dynamics. In extreme cases, terrorist activities can fuel wars or insurgencies, threatening national stability. Globally, the response to terrorism requires coordinated efforts among nations. The role of international cooperation is critical in combating terrorism through information sharing, joint operations, and strengthening security protocols across borders. Multilateral organizations such as the United Nations play key roles in facilitating dialogue, enacting sanctions, and promoting measures to prevent the spread of terrorism. However, the global response remains a continuous challenge as terrorist groups adapt and evolve.
Governments and security agencies employ various strategies such as intelligence sharing, surveillance, and cyber monitoring to detect and prevent terrorism. Some nations focus on community engagement to counter radicalization, while others use targeted operations to dismantle terrorist networks. Law enforcement agencies handle domestic counterterrorism efforts, often focusing on investigation and arrest. Intelligence agencies collect and analyze information on potential threats, enabling preemptive actions. The military is typically involved in direct action against terrorism, especially abroad, through missions to neutralize threats and secure areas. Preventive measures such as intelligence gathering and surveillance help identify threats early. Disruption techniques like asset freezing and arrests hinder terrorist activities. Response measures, including rapid deployment forces and emergency response, mitigate damage during attacks and support recovery. These combined efforts improve security but may vary in effectiveness depending on coordination and resources.
Good day everyone, I am Timothy Sumogayan and I will be discussing the ethical considerations and the dilemmas. The key ethical challenges in counterterrorism is balancing the needs for security with protection of civil liberties. While the governments use surveillance and preventive measurements to combat terrorism, these actions can infringe on privacy, freedom of speech, and due process, potentially eroding public trust and marginalizing communities, which could foster further radicalization, ensuring that security measurements remain proportionate, transparent, and accountability is essential to uphold democratic policies. Achieving this balance requires a robust legal framework, independent oversight, and public trust in institutions enforcing these policies. Counterterrorism measurements, though necessary, can lead to unintended outcomes like severe casualties, human rights abuse, and marginalizing, which may fuel extremism and eroding public trust. Actions such as drone strikes, indefinite detentions, and racial profiling risk damaging a nation's reputations and perpetuating cycles of violence. Accountability to judicial review, independent investigations, and public oversight is essential to maintain public trust, uphold democratic values, and ensuring counterterrorism efforts remain just, proportionate, and aligned with lasting peace and security. The media and the public discourse significantly shape the precautions of terrorism and counterterrorism by influencing the threat framing and the policy evaluation. While intense coverage of attacks can heighten fear and push for extreme measurements, governments may also use media to frame controversial actions as essential for safety, potentially at the expenses of civil liberties. However, the media plays a critical role in promoting accountability by exposing abuse and policy failures, aiding the public in weighing security against freedoms. Balanced journalism and informed discourse are vital for preventing misinformation and ensuring counterterrorism protects both security and human rights.
report highlights the complex nature of terrorism, shaped by ideological, political, and socio-economic factors. While progress has been made in counter-terrorism effort, new challenges such as cyberterrorism and the use of AI by extremists complicate the fight. Ongoing issues like radicalization, decentralized terrorist group, and the role of political dynamics continue to hinder progress as technology evolve, so must counterterrorism strategies. To address this threat effectively, global cooperation continues research into radicalization and a holistic approach that includes security, diplomacy, and socio-economic measures are crucial. Vigilance and innovation remain essential in combating the dynamic and evolving threat of terrorism.